When using SAP ERP, in many cases, we have the need to display data tables. For example, when we want to extract some data from the system, but we are not able to find what we want in standard reports. So in this case, we try to directly check the tables. To do this in SAP, there are many transactions available. The ones that are used the most by SAP functional consultants and SAP users are the basic transaction, SE16, the newer version, SE16N, and the S4HANA version, SE16H, which is only available in SAP S4HANA. I started working on SAP in 2012, so I am very familiar with SE16N. Until today, when I work on SAP S4HANA, I try to push myself to use SE16H. It is more advanced, it has more functionalities, but every time I find myself automatically going to SE16N. In the video today, I will give you an overview on how to use SE16N, and I will also add some advanced tips you can use to get the most out of this transaction. I will follow that with another video where I will talk about SE16H. The transaction is SE16N. Here we have the selection screen for the table, then we execute and we can see the records. I will explain to you everything we have here, then I will explain to you everything we have after we run the transaction. And I can guarantee you that even if you have experience with using SE16N, there are things here you have not used before. So here we insert the table name. How to get the table is a different topic. I will not get into this now because if I do, the video will be very long. So I assume that you already know the table that you want to display. As a start, I will use table SKA1. So this table is for GL account master chart of accounts. And once I inserted the table name, SAP automatically brought the text table, because this table is connected to this, and the SKAT includes the descriptions of the GL accounts. Now, if I don't want to see the descriptions, I can click on no texts, and SAP will not show the descriptions of the GL accounts after we run the transaction. Now I will leave it like this. Then here we have the layout. This will control the layout that we get after we execute the transaction. And here we have the maximum number of hits. This one is very important. This is the maximum number of hits that SAP will display when we execute the transaction. So let's say now in this system, I have around 40,000 GL accounts. But since here I have the maximum number of hits set to 600, SAP will only show the first 600 results. And then if I extract it to Excel, SAP will also extract only 600. So I'm not getting the full result. If I would like to know the total number of records available with the selection criteria I have here, I can click on number of entries, and SAP will display the number of entries found. So now you can see that without any selection criteria, in the SKA1 table, I have 42,982 records. But I have here the maximum number of hits 600. So if I execute the transaction, I will not get the full result. I will only get 600. If I want to see all of them, then I can either remove this completely, or I can insert, for example, 45,000. And this is higher than 42,000, so SAP now will show all the results. Now, the more number of hits you want to display, the more load you are putting in the system. So it's very important to be careful here. Don't put a very big maximum number of hits. Then here we have the get field. Now, as you see here, we have all the fields available for selection in this table. And there are too many fields. Now, if I want to see a field specifically that I want to select, I can choose the field here, and SAP will put it at the top of the list. So SAP will just move it from below and put it here. So for example, let's say I want to use the search term and then enter. So SAP moved the search term to the top. Now instead of having to scroll down and look for the search term, I have it here. You can do so for as many fields as you want. So for example, also I want to search with the account group. So now I have here the search term and the account group at top. I can also use Ctrl F to find any field I want. So for example, here if I put posting, SAP will move so the field that has the word posting is at the top of the screen. But then SAP didn't actually move it. It just, the cursor moved to the field, but the field is still in its original place. So if you want it to go to the top, then you need to use the get field. Another very useful trick here is, for example, let's say I want to select with the GL account. I want to select with the GL account number, with the group account number, with posting block, for example, and with GL account type. So I want to use these selection criteria. But then instead of having to scroll down every time to change this, I can click on sort, this icon, and SAP automatically moved all the fields that has selection criteria, move them to the top. So now I have them all here. And the same if I put here GL account subtype, for example. So I want to select also with the subtype, with the deletion flag. I'm putting any dummy data because I just want to show you the sorting, and then click on sort. So SAP moved them to the fields with the selection criteria. This is very useful because now if I want to change the selection criteria, I can easily do this without having to scroll through the list. Now I want the fields to go back to their original place, so I can click on this. It will reset the sorting. And if I want to delete all the selection criteria I have inserted, I can click on delete all entries. And now we are back to the original form. Another thing you can use also to find the selection criteria you inserted easily. For example, if here I have a value and here I have a value and here also, but then if I am at the top here and I want to go to the next value the next field where I inserted a selection criteria, you can use this. Now I will remove all entries again. So now we understand these buttons. Let's see. So this one is execute. This is what we will use to execute the transaction in the foreground. This we can use to execute the transaction in background. Number of entries I explained. It will show the total number of entries available for the selection criteria we insert. And then we have select and deselect. So what we have here is the output column. This includes the fields that I want to show when I run the report. So if I execute the table now, I will get all of these fields, any field that has the checkbox. Now let's say I don't want to see all of them. Let me just give you a quick example so you can see what I mean. So now I'm displaying only 100 records, so this can be quick. As you see, I have too many columns here. Now let's say I'm not interested to see all of this. I only want to see 2 or 3 columns. So I can click on deselect all. As you see, now the output is empty, and I can say I only want to see created on, created by, and the GL account. Now if I execute again, I am only getting the fields that I selected outside. So this is how I choose what I want to see inside the transaction. So if I want to select all the fields, I can click on this. If I want to deselect all of them, then I will click on this. And if I want to display only the key fields, these are the fields that are in blue here. So these are the primary fields. Then I can click on this and SAP will only select the key fields. I will select all of them again. So now I have explained all of these fields. Then we have this one, which will narrow the columns. This one will expand them. Not very useful really. Then we have the sorting. So this is sorting, undo and delete the sorting. This will take you to the next selection criteria and the previous. And then we have change settings and where used. These two are very important also. Before I go there, let me show you the extras menu. So here we have the technical view on and the technical view off. If you click on technical view on, and now SAP is showing these columns which show more details about the field. Another useful function is the where used list. You can use this icon or you can find it in extras where used. Now to use this, you need to be standing on the data element, not anywhere else. If you stand anywhere else, it will do nothing. So you need to be on the data element. So for example, I will stand on this one and then click on where used. And here you can choose the object types that you want to display. And this will show you all the objects that are using the same field. So for example, now I have selected table fields and then click on continue, and we can see all the tables that are using the same data element. These are real tables, so if you want to display any of them, you can just take the code, this one for example, ATXDC1, DCI, and you can display it through SE16N also. Now let's go back. Now the last thing before we go into the change settings. Normally you already know how to use these selection controls, but in case you don't, here is a quick revision. So here we insert the from and to values. And then here you choose how the data should be selected. So for example, now I'm saying that I want to select the data that is in the between the from and to. So for example, from 1 to 10. And now let's say I want to select several intervals, then I can click on more. And here I can say I also want to select from 10 or from 20 to 30, for example. So now SAP will show all the details inside the ranges. Let's say I want to exclude at the same time, I want to exclude a single value. So I can click here. This is very important. I can click here and then say do not select equal to. And here I can say do not select 25, for example. And also I want to exclude a range. So I can choose here and then do not select include range. And here I can say that I don't want to select anything between 22 and 24. So now SAP will apply all the selection criteria. It will select from 1 to 10, 20 to 30, and then it will exclude 25, and it will exclude from 22 to 24. You can check all the details here and you can use them, test around and see how they work. But this is very useful. There are people who cannot sometimes execute data. It is very easy, as you see. All you need to do is you need to select this icon for multiple entry. After you are done, you click on execute, and then the data is saved. These are dummy details, so I will remove all of them, otherwise we will not get any results. So now this is all for this screen. What I will add now is the change settings. You can click here, or you can go to extra and change settings. This is a very important screen that controls for your user ID how you want to use SE16N. So this is only impacting your user ID. You're not impacting anyone else. So feel free to play around and use it as you want. The one that I find most important is technical name as column heading in list output settings. This means that when I run the report, the column headings will include the technical names. And this we need to use many times when we are working with a technical person, an ABAPer, or with an interface person, because they want us to extract the data with the technical names of the columns. If you click on this and then OK and then execute, as you see now I have the column headings, I have the technical name, not the description. And if I extract it to Excel, it will go like this. So I'll have the technical name and the values. Now let's go back and again go to change settings. So this is technical name as column heading. Another thing before we continue, whenever you want to actually save the settings you have here, you need to click on save. If you just click on OK, it will work this time when you are using the transaction, but once you exit the transaction and go back into SE16N, the settings will go back to normal. So if you want this to be the user settings, the default user settings for you, you need to click on save settings. Second is key columns scrollable. Now let me go inside again to show you what this is. As you see, when I go to the right, here I have two columns that are fixed, that are frozen, as in Excel. Once I go to the right and left, these two are fixed. I cannot scroll them. Now if I select key columns scrollable and then go back in, you see that we can scroll as we want. This is useful because sometimes we have too many key fields in the table, and when you try to scroll, you cannot see anything. So normally, once you select this setting, SAP will allow you to scroll the key columns. What we have here is also output with conversion exit. So SAP normally, when you run the transaction, SAP runs some conversion to the data to make it more user friendly. So for example, let's go back in. So I didn't select it. Let me show you before and after. So now when I go in, the GL account without any zeros, so 11,000. Now if I select this option, output without conversion exit, and then execute, SAP will show the value of the field in its original form. Now let's go back and go again to change settings. So I actually don't want to see the zeros, so I will remove this again. The next option we have is save last layout automatically and use last layout automatically. So I will not select anything, I will just execute the report as is. Now this is the layout I get by default. So I have the columns sorted or arranged in this way. Now let's say I want to change this. So I want to put the GL account description in the beginning, for example, because this is what I'm interested in now. I want them to be here. Now if I exit and go back in, let's say to insert different selection criteria, then execute again. Now you see they are back to their original place, and then I have to take them back to the beginning. If I want SAP to automatically save the layout when I exit the screen, I can use the two options I just showed you. So let's go back and I will go to change settings, and here I will choose save last layout and use last layout. Save last layout, SAP will save the layout once whenever I exit the screen. So it will actually create a layout and it will save it. And then use last layout automatically. It means that SAP will use it automatically when I enter again. Let's say I will not select this. I will just use save last layout automatically. Okay, execute. Now if we check the available layouts we have from here, choose layout, you will see that there are no layouts created for this table. Okay, now I will move these two columns. I'll put them back to the beginning, and then I will just exit. So I'm not going to create or save any layouts. I will just exit the screen. Now if I execute again, if we check the available layouts, you see that SAP automatically created a layout with the last settings I did. So if I select it, you see this is the last one, and SAP did this automatically because we activated the option in the settings. Now if I want SAP to automatically choose this layout when I run the transaction again, then I can go here, extras, change settings again, and use last layout automatically. Now if I do this, once I go in, SAP automatically applied the last layout. Now let's go back to change settings again. So these two are done. Now we have deactivate column width optimization. So SAP automatically changes the column width based on the data inside. If you deactivate this, SAP will always show the maximum column width for every column. Then we have determine number of lines displayed. And to be honest, I don't know what this does until now. So if you do, then please leave me a comment. We have then activate additional sort field. I have not used this a lot. I actually never used it before, but I did some search yesterday and I found how to use it. I don't know if it will be useful for you, but maybe you will find it useful. So for example, if I activate this, SAP will add an additional column that I can use for sorting. And go back inside, go to the right. It doesn't work with all the tables. Let me choose another table and see if it will work. So change settings, we have it activate additional sort fields. Okay, now let's go to basic, for example. I know it was there yesterday. Execute. Now go all the way to the right. And here you will find the sort field. So this is a column that SAP added because we activated the option. It's not a real column. So you can insert any data here only for sorting in the current report. But once you exit, it will be deleted. It's not something that will stay in the database. And also if you export the report to Excel, it will go with you to the Excel. It is useful for sorting. Let me know if you actually ever use this option. So let's say, for example, I will put some numbers here. And then I will select the field and click on sort. So now it's sorted from empty to the numbers. And if I say I want to sort it descending, then we will have 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. So this is only for sorting. Once I go outside and I go back in, all the values that we have here disappeared. Let's go back. Now the other options we have. Let's go again to change settings. So this activate additional sort field. There's another one which is activate additional costing fields. I assume it does the same thing, but I actually couldn't find any use for it also, even in the tables that have costing. Then we have these two fields which I never also used before. So again, if you ever used any of these fields, so activate additional costing fields, display available layout, CDS views, or determine number of lines displayed, let me know in the comments and I will try to make another video so we share the information with everyone. Then we have the initial screen settings. So this will impact this initial screen, the selection screen. If I say technical column name leads, if I choose this, then these will change to the technical column names. Here, okay. So as you see now we have here the technical column names and the field name moved to the last. So this is just changing the layout or the sorting of the columns. Let's go back to change settings. The other one we have is technical view. So I already showed you the technical view that we activated from extras. If I select this, whenever you open the screen, SAP will automatically start with the technical view directly. So this, it will show these details by default. If you want to disable this, you go to extras and technical view off. So this is only the default settings that will be applied once you open the screen. Let's go back to change settings. And here we have narrow column width. Again, I already showed you this. It is the same when you use these two icons, but this will be your default setting. So if I do this, they are narrowed and they will stay like this when you start the transaction the next time. Now, any settings that I just activated will only be applicable for this session, when this time when I run the transaction. If I want this to be my default settings forever, I can choose save, and then SAP will save them to my user ID. And whenever I open SE16N, I will have all these settings automatically applied. The last two options are maximum number of hits. So this is the one I told you about. Normally, this will be 500 for your user ID, but you can easily change this to say, for example, 20,000. So now whenever I open the screen, SAP will automatically insert maximum number of hits 20,000. And the last one we have is action with double click and list. So this controls what happens when you double click on a field inside the report. So for example, now we'll display only 100 lines, 100 records, execute. Now the standard settings if you double click on any value here, SAP will show you this record in a separate screen. So this way you can scroll through all the available fields. Now this option can be changed using the options in the settings here. So when you double click, the standard is detail of the row, but you can also do a drill down of complete list, value entry, and so on. So you can go ahead and test these on your own. I will keep it as standard, and this is it for the initial screen. Now if I execute and we go inside, I already explained most of the things here. Normally you already know how to use a report, but in case you don't, here is a quick review also. So you use these for sorting. So you can select any column and click here to sort. So this is sort ascending, sort descending. You can use the find icon to find any value you want. You can use this for filtering. So you choose a column and you click on filter and you choose what are the values you want to see. You can also use the multiple selection here, same as in the ratio screen. It all works the same way. And then you also have the sum. So if there is a column that has values, you can use the sum to do as a summation of the values. Once you do sum, you also have the subtotal. So this is total, subtotal. Here we have printing, and here we have extract to Excel sheet. So if you select this, and then you can take it to a spreadsheet, and here you select the format. Okay, and SAP will extract. Okay, and SAP will export this result you have here to an Excel sheet that you can use to do further processing for the report. Here we have the layouts. I already used this in the demo. So you can choose layout to see all the layouts available. Change layout. This means you can control the layout here. So you can move the columns up or down. These are the columns that are hidden. These are the columns that are displayed. So you can choose any column, move it on the other side, and this way this column will be hidden. Or you can choose any column from here or multiple. So click on control and then select multiple and take them to the other side. And now you are displaying the columns. And here we have information if there is any end user documentation available, which is usually not the case. And here we have the details. So if you stop on any record or stand on any line like this, and then click on details, SAP will show you as if you did a double click. It will show you the detailed view of this record. And here we have this icon, which I didn't use before also, but now I find super useful. If you click on this, SAP will hide any column that has no values. So this way you can see only the columns that have values, which will actually help you understand more the details. This is it for SE16N. I hope you found that video useful. Let me know if you are someone who has experience with SE16N. Let me know, did you really find something that you never used before or not? And if you have any other information to add, please feel free to leave me a comment or send me a message on LinkedIn. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you would like to get access to other videos and to the presentations, configuration materials, and study notes, you can check the channel membership program. You can also check the rest of the playlist here, the next video here, or other interesting videos up there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.